You're listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which provides bite-sized tips for busy parents, educators, and anyone working with kids. These real talk conversations focus on mindful living, mental health, and personal growth, helping all to learn, grow, and inspire with mindfulness in mind. I'm your host, Vanessa de Jesus Guzman, educator, licensed professional counselor, entrepreneur, and mom. I'm passionate about helping folks live life with peace of mind and ease of heart while not losing their, well, you know, here we go. Hi, and welcome back to the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. So, my friends, December 17th is the Free to Be Mindful podcast 1-year anniversary. It is bananas that we have been at this for one entire year. We have 50 some episodes. We now are releasing 2 episodes a week, a longer version, longer as in 15 to 20 minutes, and then the shorter Consult a Counselor series midweek. And I am just so excited for everything that the podcast has become. I have always had thoughts of wanting to do a podcast. And back then I was stopped because I had a friend say, well, I want to do a podcast. And I didn't want her to think that I was biting off of her idea or copycatting her. Oh, the thoughts of how we think, like somehow how kids think sometimes. And I'm really happy that I kind of got over it because everyone, as my mom says, has their own sazon, or everyone brings their own flavor into what they do. And you can talk about the same topic that someone else can, but even though the content is the same, the flavoring, the spices, the delivery is completely different because we all have our different personalities. We all have different things that we bring to the table. Our experiences help us become different. And the way in which we see the world based upon our own experiences is also completely different. So I am so happy that I just took the lunge to create the Free to Be Mindful podcast. It originally came out, and I don't know if it really has changed or not. I would love your opinion, but it originally came out I created it for parents and educators or anyone working with kids. And sometimes I go back and I look at the show notes or I even listen back, and really a lot of what is discussed is really good for anybody. It's really based on mindful living, on being more aware of the way that we show up in our lives, of being more aware the way that we treat others and the way that we treat ourselves. Because if we are not the best persons that we are able to be, then how can we expect those people that we interact with and our kids to kind of follow suit? I really think the way that we show up in the world not only shapes our experiences, but it also shapes in the way that others respond to us, because it's all based out of energy and the way that that energy is interwoven amongst one another in the way that we show up in the world, in the way that we have discussions, have relationships, and have connections with other people on this earth. And when it comes down to it, that's really what the Free to Be Mindful podcast is all about, having that awareness, being just more open to different types of ideas and being more open on various ways that we could improve in our lives, and experiencing short guided meditations so that we can continue to kind of get our feet wet and continue to dip our toe in the pool, so to speak, to understand, to have more of an understanding, and to have more exposure, more experiences with the concept of mindfulness. I know some people are all about long sits and sitting for 20 to 30 minutes and experiencing long meditations in that way. But sometimes that doesn't work for everybody. And I am definitely of the mindset that there are a lot of things to do each and every day. I say that as a professional, I say that as a parent, and I think a lot of other people would probably agree. And because of that, instead of perhaps engaging in long sits, because not everybody may have that type of time or be able to create that type of time in their daily schedules, more of the mindset of, okay, if that doesn't work for you, let's try things in quick and small doses. And that can sometimes be just as impacting, quick and small doses throughout the day, than perhaps one long sit at the end of the day or at the start of the day. So it is my hope that as you've listened into the Free to Be Mindful podcast, that perhaps you've listened in to new ideas and to new ideas on how to do things. Or perhaps it's not a new idea, but maybe just a reminder on how you can be more present and more aware and more mindful in your everyday life. And that is certainly the goal in these 15 to 20-minute episodes, is to just show up as your best, most authentic selves so that we can help those around us be their best selves, especially if we have our own children or if we work with children too. So, what is to come of the Free to Be Mindful podcast as we enter into year 2? And by the way, we are going to take a mini break just for the holidays before we come back for year 2, which is 2022. I hope to have some guests on the podcast, but still keeping the short format, because again, sometimes we just don't have time to listen into the longer version format. So keeping the short format, perhaps having some guests. And I would love to hear from you. I really would, whether it be via an email at hello@freetobemindful.com, via my Instagram at Counselor V de Jesus, in a rate or review, any way that you know how to reach me. I would love to hear from you just to see what you would like to hear more of. And some of the podcast episodes, actually many of the podcast episodes, the subjects, the titles really come from, interactions that I have in my everyday life, but also suggestions that people give me, like, oh, I was wondering about this, or, can you talk about that? Because I'd like to hear more on it. So I'm always open to different ideas and to different suggestions as to how to improve. And hopefully this helps you again, not in the way that you show up for others, but also in the way that you show up for yourselves. I think especially now during the holiday season, we give so much of ourselves to others. We pour so much of ourselves into other people's cups that we have to make sure that we take time to refuel our own. And it is my hope that in these short episodes that's exactly what the podcast does, that it kind of refuels your cup, helps you think of things in a different point of view, or, helps you see things through a different lens, so that again, you can show up as your best self. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to really say thank you. It is insane. The podcast host, I use Buzzsprout, and it is insane to see the different parts of the world that the podcast listeners come from, anywhere from Australia to Asia to South America, really all over the world. It's really great to see that you guys like what you hear. And if you don't, I want to hear that too. I want to see what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, because it's just truly a passion project. It really, comes from the heart, and I am just happy to share myself and, with others, and to hopefully help others through that sharing. So whether you catch this on my website, which is freetobemindful.com, whether you catch this on your favorite podcast platform, and if you didn't know, by the way, I also put them on YouTube. So I also show up on video. So if you ever wanted to actually see some of my crazy facial expressions as I speak, you can always catch the episodes on YouTube. And however it is that you listen in, I just wanted to say truly, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your support, for listening in, for your feedback, for your rates, for your reviews, for your likes, and even for the dislikes. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to continue doing this. I look forward to continue to, my business and life motto, to learn, to grow as a person, and in turn, to hopefully inspire others through the different avenues that I do all of my work. through whether it be the podcast or social media, through my one-on-one clients, through group counseling, through workshops in person. Now we're getting more into those, through Amiga Mom social events, which are coming back now in 2022, through courses that are going to come up this year as well. However, our paths happen to cross, just thank you. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your support, your love, and your energy and your good vibes. So, with that, I wish you all a very happy, joyous, and safe holiday season. And I look forward in catching up with you again in 2022. Thanks so much, and catch you next time. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. It would mean a ton if you took this moment to review the Free to Be Mindful podcast on the platform you catch your favorite shows. That quick and easy act lets me know what you enjoy, and it helps others find the podcast too. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you can listen along next week. In the meantime, I welcome you to catch me on social media at Counselor V de Jesus. And as always, remember, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.